Should you engage in intimacy even though now that you are awakening and understand you don't need a human being to complete you? Should you engage in intimacy? Now, of course, should doesn't come into it at all. Neither should you engage in intimacy, nor should you not engage in intimacy. Should is not, there's no should. You either do or you don't. Maybe the question means, do I have to? Only you can know that, whether you feel that that is the right thing now, then it arises. But the fact that you no longer need to be completed psychologically does not mean that necessarily you no longer engage in intimacy. It just means that the egoic part of an intimate relationship is then no longer there. And that's a great relief. You can still have an intimate relationship on a physical, emotional level without the psychological need that says, I need you to be the answer to my life. Psychological completion. Because it is that delusion that there can be a human being who is psychologically going to complete me that creates all that, a lot of the conflict in relationship, because after a while you realize that the other human is not living up to your expectations, because no human being could. But you can still have an intimate relationship even without the need to be psychologically completed. You have a physical form. So the physical form may, for example, have sexual desire, and again, it may also have emotional feelings which exist within the greater context when you are awakened, or even the spirit dimension is already there in your life. Then there's the greater context for all that in the spaciousness of who you are. Those things appear or happen. Not as an answer to your life's problems, and not as an absolute need, not even on an absolute need on the emotional, physical level. Not as an absolute need, but the form as which you appear may feel drawn to another form, and that's fine. And if it doesn't work, or if there is no other form because you're in prison or some other reason, then you can live with that without turning into an unhappy being, because you are in touch with that which is beyond form. The unfulfillment on the level of form creates, yes, there's some area then in your life that's unfulfilled, and you can feel that, and yet it does not turn into, it doesn't make your life miserable or makes you unhappy, or creates a mental interpretation that tells you that your life is dreadful and meaningless because that need is not fulfilled. Because as presence enters your life, that need exists as a small manifestation within the greater spaciousness that you are. And if it's met, it's fine, and if the need is not met, you can live with that also without turning unhappy or feeling that you're not alive anymore. No, you are intensely alive, and in the depths of that aliveness, you are not a form identity. And in the depths of that aliveness, you have no needs of other forms, but you can enjoy other forms, but the absolute need is not there, because all forms are already contained in that, in you. You're ultimately, from the deepest, seen from the deepest level, you're always meeting yourself in another form. So, no should or shouldn't. You may or you may not engage, as you put it, engage in intimacy. I assume that the belief that there's a human being there that's going to make you happy has dissolved, and you realize you don't need that, not to make you happy or to fulfill you. And so with the psychological need gone, you can appreciate another human being, and you can appreciate emotional or physical levels if they are there.